Welcome to Sustainable Sailing. This episode we are looking at our bilges, reorganising them for new battery storage and water tanks. So the first step here is to remove the companionway steps. I'm doing this on the 7th of January. It was cold and wet outside, and here I am squashed into the wet locker. Now we get to pull the steps off. Unfortunately, one of the screws, the head broke off, so that one had to be pulled through the timber. But as you'll see, the timber has a lot of water damage anyway, so we will be cleaning it up and painting it. So we've got the companionway steps off. There was only one screw there that was already, the head was broken, so we've had to pull that one through. So we'll have to fix up that bit of wood there, but that gives us a lot better access now to the bilge for planning batteries and so on, which we'll show you next. Now we've got the steps, it's easier to take up all the floorboards, although we can do it with the steps in place. So let's see where we're at with under the cabin floor. What we originally had was a full coffin sized stainless steel water tank running all the way from there,
from just behind the mast, wasn't it,
to back to here.
Oh.
This bulkhead here tucked under here. That was a pain to get out when we had the steps in, because they come to about here, but we'll lift that end and get it out. We're now planning 3 main sections in this bilge here. So the framework of these floor joists has got to come out, because we're going to have 4 120 amp hour batteries running across in the lowest part of the bilge, and they come to about here. And then on top of them, 4 300 amp hour batteries like this one here, running across again and again, coming, well, they come to about here, I think. Just to protect those batteries and avoid the problems that we've seen on Sailing Zingaro, on Rigging Doctor and others, we will box in around there, have glands, waterproof glands for all the cables coming out of that battery box, and we will bolt down a lid onto a seal which will become the new floor. So our lithium batteries are going to be in an entirely watertight part of the bilge, so we have no risk of our batteries getting flooded, and providing the connections that come out of there are terminated a bit higher, our battery bank would still continue to work even if we had water up to this level, so that all our pumps and so on will still function properly. We've now sorted out the batteries into their sort of final positions. There's framing to support them, framing to surround them to go, but here's the 1, 2, 3, 4 300s, and underneath them are the 4 120s, which are obviously a lot smaller, and so they drop down onto the keel. Having them here below the waterline and resting on the keel means this area is going to stay as cool as anywhere on the boat. We've got to build a structure for these, and then the lid that holds them in place, obviously clear for the wiring, will be the new floor. Then we put in a bulkhead here that goes almost the full width, and that the floor will also rest on. And that bulkhead is the aft end of our new water tank. All this area becomes the water tank, with a new bulkhead where the keel bilge ends. So a new bulkhead just in there. For the forward end of the water tank, we have a bulkhead here and here to support the floor and act as the sides of the water tank, giving us space to, alongside the batteries and alongside the water tank, have this bilge drainage gully going all the way aft into the deep part of the bilge. So all of this is going to be replaced. We will have one big lid over the batteries, bolted on so that there's no way the batteries can fall on your head if we tip over, and a watertight lid as the floor bolted on to the water tank. So that means we can lift the whole lid of the water tank should we ever need to clean it or do any repairs to the hull where the water tank is. We won't have any water allowed to come through the bilge area from forward, because where Jane's actually standing to film is going to be the shower, so that will have its own pump to pump out any shower water. Forward of that we're going to have another water tank built in, and forward of that we're going to have the anchor chain locker, which will also be another watertight compartment, and forward of that we're going to have a watertight compartment as a crash area. So basically all the way down the centre of the boat, from the bow, is going to be a series of watertight compartments to try to ensure that if we get damage from whatever reason, we're not going to sink, and at the same time to get ourselves back to having enough water capacity for crossing oceans.
And to keep our battery storage nice and low.
It puts loads of weight. The batteries and the water are all really low in the boat.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up.